Not too long ago, I did a video called KelTec Sucks. Now, a lot of people took exception with this video, and a lot of them tried to convince me otherwise. And since then, a lot of people said, have you changed your opinion of KelTecs? Do you think they still suck? Well, I hate to have to say it, but yes, KelTecs do still suck. They are poorly constructed pieces of plastic, subpar crap. Sorry, that's just the way it is. Now, I know George Kellgren has designed some pretty cool guns in his life, and he's done some pretty innovative things, and they have revamped some of those designs for KelTec. But it's a shame with these nice designs that they still can't manage to make one that's worth a shit. Now, I know that pisses off some people that I say that, mostly some really cheap people, but they do get pissed off. And of course, they try to defend the gun and go, KelTec's a great gun. Well, I hate to break to you, KelTec is not a great gun. If you think it's a great gun, then you don't know anything about guns. Just admit that to yourself right now, because it is not a great gun. There's no question about that. But they still try to defend KelTec, and they don't really have an easy time of it, because even if you go to the KelTec forum, where it's a place where people who love KelTecs get together and talk about KelTecs, if you go to that forum and you take away all the posts that are about how do I keep my KelTec from breaking, help, my KelTec just broke, or hey, how do I keep my KelTec from breaking again? If you take away those topics, you're left with basically just, hey, look at my new KelTec. That's pretty much all that's left on that forum. And those, hey, look at my new KelTec posts usually result in, now how do I keep my new KelTec from breaking? Oops, my new KelTec just broke. Oops, how do I keep my new KelTec from breaking again? And that sometimes leads to, oh, it just broke a third time. They replace it. I'm going to sell it to some other sucker. So as you can see, it's really hard to make a good case for KelTec handguns. Now, some people say, well, the handguns are crap, but the rifles are good, right? I mean, we all know the rifles are great, don't we? People say, well, the Sub 2000, that's awesome, right? Well, the Sub 2000 is basically a pipe with a trigger on it. And it's about as comfortable and fun to shoot as a pipe with a trigger on it. So it's not a great gun. And even those manage to break. I hate to break it to you, they fall apart all the time. You don't see a whole lot of them for sale again because they break. And then people say, well, what about the RFB and the KSG? Well, as far as the RFB is concerned, it's garbage. I know people that love every bullpup that ever comes out except for the RFB. They're like, oh, no, thank you. You watch reviews on it, parts are falling off. You go to SHOT Show or range day and you get to hear the KelTec people explain to you, oh, that part that fell off, that's not important. Or, oh, that part that's glued on, it won't be like that in production. That's just, we had to do that today. And as far as the KSG goes, I actually tried to buy one of these when they first came out. And one of our local shops got like 11 of them in. And I went over to get one of them. And I went through all 11 of them. And out of those 11, I wasn't able to find one that didn't look like it was cobbled together from old typewriter parts by a drunk chimpanzee with a glue gun. They were crap. So in reality, the rifles are not much better, if any better, than the handguns. KelTecs just suck. But like I said, these people will still try to defend them, even though they know there's so much evidence out there that shows they're crap. They'll still use anecdotes to try to counteract all that evidence. They'll say, oh, I know a guy's had one forever and he's put 10,000 rounds through it. It's awesome. Or they'll even say, I've got one and it's awesome. Well, first off, if you have a KelTec and it's perfectly functional, it still ain't awesome. That's an insult to even mediocre guns everywhere. KelTecs aren't awesome, even if they're functional. And as far as having 10,000 rounds through one, first off, I'd say, no, you don't. You're a liar. But even if you did, I'd say, well, then you're stupid. Because what you should have done is took a little bit of that ammo money, put it with your gun money, bought a better gun, and put 8,000 rounds through it. But for those of you that still want to use those anecdotes to try to prove that KelTecs are good guns despite all the real-world evidence, I want to explain to you why that argument is stupid. I'm going to explain to you in a very simple way, using very little tiny words, why if you think that's true, you might be a moron. You see this clock right here? This clock is a plastic piece of crap. It's made in some little third world backwater country where they still bind little girls' feet and everybody eats insects. But I've had it for 22 years and it's worked every day. This clock still wakes me up every morning.
Hey, baby, wake up. Come and dance with me. Wow. Yeah. Hey, baby, wake up. Come and dance with me.
But even though it's woke me up every day for 22 years, gotten me up to get my kids off to school, gotten me up for work, etc., I still know that every day it works is a blessing, because I shouldn't expect it to work. When I set this clock every night, I still set an alarm on my phone for 2 minutes later, because I know eventually this thing's going to crap out on me. Because let's face it, I'm sure 90-something% of these things that were ever made are in a landfill now, somewhere not decaying, because they're made out of some sort of polymer plastic garbage, and they'll never fall apart. So they're just laying in landfills all over the world, I'm sure. But if I used your logic, I'd have to say, well, since I've had one that's worked for 22 years every day, this must be a high quality timepiece. But you know what? It isn't. It's just a crappy piece of plastic, just like a KelTec. I just got lucky. So if you have a good KelTec, that's what you got. You didn't get a good gun, you just got lucky. Now people will ask me though, do I think KelTecs actually have a place in the world? If they're such garbage, do I think they should just be done away with? Well, no, I think they actually do have a place in this world. Let's say tomorrow the guy you've been having a pen pal love affair with in prison is getting out and he found out you're not really a beautiful blonde 38-year-old woman. You're really a fat, hairy white guy, and he's going to come looking for you and you need a gun right away. You've only got like $200, $250. You can't find a good used gun. Well, get a KelTec. You need something right away and that's all you can afford, get a KelTec. Or if you narked on your crack dealer because you didn't want to pay him the $28.50 you owed him and he found out about it, he's coming to get you and you've only got a little bit of money to buy a gun and you need it right away, buy a KelTec. It's times like these that this little gun shines. When you need something right away, you ain't got a lot of money and you're not really a shooter, you just want it to go off once or twice. So they do have a place. And a lot of people will even say, well, George Zimmerman used one. It worked for George Zimmerman. It'll work for you. Well, if you ever read that court case, and you actually read the court documents, where did they recover the casing for the fired round from? They recovered it from inside the chamber, meaning the gun jammed when he fired it once. That's KelTec for you. Well, like I say, they do have a place in the market. But I would say to you, if you have to get a KelTec, understand its limitations. Don't take it out like it's a shooter. Just buy it. Keep it in case you need it to fire once or twice. Don't try to take it out and use it a lot. Don't take it out and try to break it in. KelTecs don't have a break-in period. They just break, period. It's only going to fire so many rounds. So try to save those rounds for when you're going to need them. Because remember, if you put 300 or 400 rounds through a KelTec, it's not closer to being broken in. It's just closer to being broken.